There will be reduced rainfall and not as intense. And that's what we are saying, that rainfall intensities across the country are likely to reduce during the second half of the forecast period. Daytime temperatures, that is what we refer to as maximum temperatures, are likely to be more than 30 degrees in some parts, especially the coast, northeastern and northwestern parts of Kenya. Average nighttime temperature, which we refer to as minimum temperatures, will be low, and that is over some parts of the east of the Rift Valley, including Nairobi. Going to the specific forecast, the region over the highlands west of the Rift Valley, where we have the counties of Kisii, Nyamira, since you can read for yourselves, it's those ones in the brackets. The highlands west of the Rift Valley, the Lake Victoria Basin, and the Rift Valley. We expect morning rains over a few places during the first half of the forecast period. Afternoon and night showers are expected, and this will be over several places, almost a widespread situation during the first half of the forecast period. And we expect a reduction in that level of activity thereafter. The northwestern parts of Kenya, where we find Turkana and Samburu counties, we expect that there will be morning rains as well as afternoon and night showers and thunderstorms. This will have a coverage of like a third of the place. That is what we mean by a few places, and that is during the first half of the forecast period. We expect that in the other half, there will be mainly sunny intervals. The highlands east of the Rift Valley, including Nairobi County, where we have Nyandarua, Laikipia, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, all the way as listed. We expect morning rains over a few places during the first half. We expect afternoon and night showers and thunderstorms over several places during the first half, and this will reduce in coverage as we move towards the end of the 7 days. The northeastern parts of Kenya, where we have Marsabit, Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, and Isiolo counties, we expect morning rains, as well as afternoon, night showers, and thunderstorms during the first half of the forecast period. The southeastern lowlands, Machakos, Kitui, Makueni, Kajiado, and Taita Taveta counties, and Taita Taveta is only parts of it. We expect morning rains, as well as afternoon and night showers and thunderstorms over a few places during that first half of that period. Finally, the coast, we have morning and afternoon and night showers over a few places. This will occasionally spread to cover several places, and this is expected to peak as the month progresses. I had intended to end there because it was mainly to discuss the 7 days, but no harm mentioning what we expect for the rest of the month. And that whole zone that we refer to as the Western Lake Victoria Basin and all those counties, we expect rainfall throughout the month, even though there may be breaks. The total amounts of rainfall are likely to be above average for that season, and we expect occasional storms. And when we talk about storms, we are not necessarily talking about thunderstorms. We are talking about rainfall that falls suddenly, and the coverage may be over a small area, but intense enough to cause damage. Northwestern parts, we expect occasional rainfall during the month, and the amounts are likely to be above average. The highlands east, which includes Nairobi, we expect rainfall throughout the month, and the intensity, this is picked from the forecast that we gave last week, and that is where we are referring to the intensity in the first week, which is, as we witnessed, the total amounts are likely to be above average, and we expect occasional storms. Next slide, please, which should be my last. The northeastern region, we are expecting occasional rainfall during the month, and the amounts are likely to be near to above average. Southeastern lowlands, we expect that the amounts will be near to above average and maybe fairly distributed throughout the month. Finally, the coast, the total amounts of rainfall expected in the month are likely to be near to above average. Occasional storms also likely, and it's important to note that May marks the peak of the long rains at the coast, and therefore we expect that the season may extend into the first half of June in that particular region. And we will continue to provide.
On behalf of the Secretary General and on my own behalf, and I'm sure on behalf of all of the partners in the room, our condolences to Kenya's government, her people, and particularly to the families of, as of today, 229 Kenyans who've lost their lives, but as we know, and as PS, my brother, has reminded us, quite a number more still missing, so we expect the death toll, very sadly, to rise. Sir, you brought us together in this tent back in September to talk about El Nino and to get ready. And I really want to thank you for that leadership back then. We were already very active as the 90 partners during the first phase of the flooding, back before the end of 2023, when we had nearly 600,000 people affected. And it's hard to believe that we're dealing with a second phase already with getting on for 300,000 people affected again. And as a number of speakers have reminded us, all of that building on 3 years of drought, and with every possibility that we may be back into drought later in this year. So the climate emergency is exacting a terrible price from Kenya, a country that didn't create the climate emergency. This graphic here, sir, shows you the 8 emergency hubs where all of us in this 90-strong response come together. And again, I think we've learned the lesson of history to be ready and prepared. And so these hubs, since the start of the crisis again in March, have already been responding. Yes. So 2 quick slides. I won't go through in exhaustive detail, but on the response so far. So shelter and non-food, nearly 65,000 people reached already. Hygiene promotion, nearly 15,000 people. Water, sanitation and health, nearly 120,000 people in Garissa, Tana River, Wajir, Mandera, Lamu. And we've pre-positioned stock for another 160,000 people. And I think cholera has already been mentioned. We do know that there has been a small outbreak already in the northern part of the country, and we're very active in that space, and it's something that I will come back to. Cash transfers and food distribution, about 45,000 people reached, 4,200 cartons of ready-to-use therapeutic feeding for malnourished children in 9 counties. Logistics, and this was mentioned a little bit earlier. I'm delighted that we've been able to requisition the 6x6. These are these heavy-duty trucks that can get through flood waters. So we've been able to requisition those again and to lend mobile storage units from WFP to Kenya Red Cross. The refugee response, 12,000 additional people helped with shelter and non-food items. We're very, very worried about the inundation of the refugee camps, sir. That's coming on top of the fact that the food ration is being cut to just 40% of what is needed already for the refugees in the camps. On education, and that's also a need that's been highlighted, so we've pre-positioned 800 education kits, 18 sets of high-performance tent and flooring materials, so that we can really try to help schools reopen that are going to have trouble doing so because of the floodwaters, or because those schools have been being used to house the displaced.
Now that we are facing extended rainfall across the country with flooding, which is unprecedented in many ways, we are all in agreement that we need to better coordinate, because there's been a lot of engagements, particularly from the development partners, asking on how best they can be able to support in the process. And a number of partners have already done that in many ways, and we do not take it for granted. And by His Excellency, the Deputy President, convening us here, we are looking forward to having a much more better coordination in our response. And also, it presents us with an opportunity to be forward-looking, so that then we are not caught up the way we've been caught up in the most recent past. Something that then will be much more organic going forward.